From one of the first times that I brought a plant back from the brink of death and root rot to the plant that I got on my second date with my current husband. I'm a firm believer in houseplants holding sentimental value, and so I wanted to share some of those with you today. I have several plants in my home that hold meaning in my heart and that I pretty much wouldn't get rid of unless they physically died, so they're never going to leave my collection. And I just wanted to share those stories with you because I think it's fun. Before we get into all of that, I want to say if you're new here and you don't know me already, hi, my name is Emma and I make houseplanty content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanty journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. If you are not new here, thank you so much for returning. I really appreciate it. Also, I do want to say if you have a plant that is sentimental to you for some reason or another, I would love to hear its story down below in the comments. So pop it down there. I just want to have the feels reading the comments in this video. So without any further ado, let's get on to the first plant, which happens to be my first plant. The first plant that sort of sparked my interest into collecting houseplants as a hobby was this here. It is the satin pothos, or Scindapsus pictus, sort of classic argyraeus one. And yes, it is in a planter with a bunch of other rare Scindapsus that I got much later. And this one here is the exact plant that I got originally, or was given originally. I actually got it from one of my old college professors. He was visiting London teaching a course, and we met up in Brixton actually. And like we were walking around the Brixton markets. I think we got like dinner or drink or something, and we went into a little plant shop. And in the plant shop, I was saying how like I've always wanted to try growing houseplants, but like never really got into it. And basically what he said to me is everybody needs to have plants in their life. So he ended up getting me 2 houseplants, this satin pothos as well as a Fittonia. Unfortunately, the Fittonia is no longer with us. Surprise, surprise. They're very thirsty plants, and I didn't do a very good job with it. But the satin pothos is such a hardy one, and I feel like it was the perfect plant for me to start on because it is such an easy care, low maintenance, gorgeous one. Like, I'm obsessed with the silver spots. This is also the first plant I ever made a video, like a YouTube video on. It just brings all the memories, and I'm glad I did join it into this pot, though it kind of like takes away from it being special on its own. It is now with my like lovely big Scindapsus pot, which I'm obsessed with. Scindapsus is one of my favorite genuses, and so like it can just be part of my general love for this genus. I should also say this is in no particular order, aside from that first one being my first plant. The rest of them are kind of just, I'm in the bedroom, and so I may as well talk about the plants I have in the bedroom right now. The next one is actually this one here. So this here is my Hoya Crimson Princess. Queen's also in here, but we're not talking about that one. We're talking about the princess. And this is actually the first Hoya I ever got. And I got it as cuttings that I took from my cousin's plant. I think now her plant has moved on. She's not the best with plant care. They've had many plants go through their home, and so maybe one day when mine's bigger I can give her some cuttings again, though this one I swear I had like 2 or 3 2-leaf cuttings because I didn't want to take too much off of her plant, and it took ages and ages and ages and ages to root them, and finally it has grown over the years into something I would say resembles a plant that you might buy at a store. It's taken its sweet time to get here, but I just love that this one reminds me of my cousin who like lives here in the UK and like just brings like a bit of family aspect into my home as well, because none of the rest of my family are really into plants at all. And then we've got another Hoya, the Hoya polyneura, which I've got here, and this one is actually part of this collection because in, oh my gosh, I don't even remember what year it was. I don't know, but In the past few years, since I've been collecting plants, I knew I really wanted to get a planty tattoo. And so I got this lovely one on my arm. I'll pop in like better footage of this because I can't get a good angle from here. But I got this planty tattoo on my arm of a hand holding a plant cutting. And it was just sort of a fictional plant cutting. I didn't want anything sort of specific going into it. I didn't want a specific plant or anything. But like a few weeks after I got this tattoo, I was plant shopping and I saw this hanging in the shop. And I was like, that there, that's the plant for my tattoo. And like, I love that like the veins match, the leaf shape matches, and I don't think this was necessarily a reference photo, or like this plant was a reference photo for my tattoo, but I just love that it looks so much like it, and this has grown into one of my absolute favorite hoyas. I love it so, so much, and like these sort of mermaid tail leaves are just the most beautiful things, and I like, it's a little bit unhappy right now. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with it, but it has sparked a massive joy for me for even more hoyas, and I really want to get like the sort of inner and outer variegated ones now to sort of add to my polyneura collection, but this is the one that started it all, and it matches my tattoo, and it brings warmth to my heart because of that. Moving on into the living room, there's actually two in here that I want to talk about in this frame. I mean, there's more than that in the living room, but the next one is my philodendron melalonii. I affectionately refer to this one as my fat boy, not fat boy, because I think it was one of my very, very, very early on plants that I got like from a shop for free in return for making a post. So this was easily 2020, so like a long, long time ago. And it was labeled as a philodendron fat boy. But it turns out over the years I have learned that it is not a philodendron fat boy, which is a martianum. I have since tried that plant, decided it's not for me, unfortunately, but this one will forever be affectionately known to me as my fat boy, not fat boy. And another thing I love about it, aside from its like massive size and like statement plant status within my home, is that not very many people do have it. I don't think I've actually seen anybody else have one in the UK, at least, given I've not been like looking hard for it, and obviously other people have it. I cannot be the only person with this plant in the world, but you really don't see it sold here, and so it kind of just brings me that little bit of extra joy knowing that like it's kind of something just for me. I know that sounds like really like exclusive and elitist, and I'm never gonna gatekeep this plant from anybody because I would love other people to have it because it is such a nice plant, but I think part of the allure still is that like not very many people have it, so it is just a little bit extra special in that way. And then the next one is my monstera constellation here, and this one is special to me because I brought it back from the brink of death. I got this in, I'm pretty sure, 2020, 2021 as a single leaf cutting that had dry roots. And I basically was trying to propagate it and it immediately went super yellow, and so I had to start fresh with it, save it from root rot, and luckily I was able to get it to that point, and now it has grown so much. It's got, oh gosh, how many leaves does it have? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. It's got 11 leaves, and they're not the biggest things in the world, but they are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's not got the most variegation in the world, but I love it so much, and it just brings, like, it reminds me that I can do hard things, I can save things from the brink of death, and kind of motivates me to continue doing stuff like that in the future. It is also the first monstera that I have ever grown a secondary fenestration on. That's kind of a big deal to me, because I grew this one from such a small plant. Like, the leaf was probably about that big when I got it. So the fact that it's sized up this much and is already getting secondary fenestrations, just like, it just makes me so proud of myself for like bringing it so far on this journey. So these next couple of plants are ones that actually remind me of my husband, Joe. Yeah, I know, soppy AF. But this first one is the Sansevieria mikado, and this is one that we actually got on one of our first couple of dates, maybe the second or third date, where we went on a trip to IKEA. Yes, we were very settled at that point, very much so, knew that we liked each other a lot, and we got this plant for Joe's flat, and it looked so different then. I'll see if I can go back and find a picture of it right when we got it, but it was like the very classic sticky uppy straight Sansevieria. And over the years, it lived in Joe's flats when we weren't living together, and when we did move in together, I then took on the care of it. Since it's been essentially in my care, it has done a whole heck of a lot better. It lost a lot of leaves back when Joe was taking care of it. He doesn't really take care of houseplants. That's not his thing. It's my thing, which is totally understandable. But now that it's in my care, it has gotten very tall and like quite fun. It does grow very differently, like I said, from what it was in the beginning. It's very much more spread out, but I kind of like the fun grassy texture and like these little bits at the bottom too, where they're like a bit flatter. It's such a strange, like interesting one, and I probably wouldn't keep this plant if it didn't have sentimental value to me. It is like not my favorite type of plant, but because we got it so early on in our relationship, it makes me really happy to like have that memory of like the early years. So yeah, it's just so cute. And then kind of going full circle, this alocasia gageana was actually a plant that was part of our wedding last year. When we got married, we wanted to have, or I wanted to have, and Joe was perfectly okay with us having lots and lots of houseplants around. I didn't want any sort of floral decorations. I wanted houseplants, and so we rented houseplants from a local plant shop to have at our like wedding ceremony and reception and stuff, and this was one of the plants within that. And afterwards, I bought it off of the plant shop, and it is like a really nice memory plant for me now. If you've been here for any amount of time, you probably know that I love alocasias as well, and so it just kind of felt like the perfect plant to take from our wedding. And like, I love how big it has gotten. It has grown so much bigger in the time I've had it, and it is just absolutely flourishing in this space. But I'm just obsessed with these big leaves, and I'm hoping it lasts as long or longer than our marriage. No, I hope our marriage lasts forever, obviously, but I hope this plant lasts forever as well as a lovely reminder of our special day. This next plant is my Chrysula ovata, and I have had this for years and years and years. I actually propagated it from cuttings from my mother-in-law's plants. So she actually had, back then, 4 jade plants, one representing each of their family, and they kind of represent like money. That these are like nicknamed money plants, and so each represented like fortune for that member of the family. And then over the years, she's gotten a couple more plants, one for me and one for my sister-in-law, and now for my baby niece. So there's 7 plants in total, which is super duper sweet. And these are from the original ones, and I'm just really proud of myself for, ooh, I keep knocking off leaves. That's the great thing about jade plants, you can just propagate them from leaves. But I did have cuttings for these ones at least. These ones down the bottom are leaf props. But I'm not very good at propagating succulents, so I feel like getting to this point was a little bit of a feat, and I'm very proud of the sort of growth. This plant also reminds me of my parents, because growing up we had 2 big jade plants that lived outside of our house. We didn't really have houseplants, but in California, jade plants can live outside just fine. And so they got those plants actually from my grandmother. And so we've had those for years and years and years, and they're like decades and decades old, which is like, this reminds me of that as well. So it reminds me of my family and Joe's family, and like, it's just a cute little memory. And then the final plant that I'm going to talk about in this video is my Alocasia poly. It was one of my very early houseplants. It was actually the first plant that I posted a picture of here on Instagram, which is crazy. So surreal. And I've had it for this entire time, which is awesome. And over the years, it's gone through so much. It got down to the point where it was a single leaf which is crazy. Just a single leaf of alocasia poly, and I've basically brought it back from that. And this is also the plant that I first tried growing corms from and first had that success. And so now I've been able to put those babies, it was years ago that they were babies, they're like full on adult plants now, but I was able to put those back into the mother as well and fill out the pot even further. But it has just gotten so big over the years, and like it's so beautiful. I love the dark leaves, and it just like, I think especially thinking about the corms, it just brings me the joy of that like early process of learning that went on early on in my plant care journey. And so that is why it made this list. So there we go. Those are some of my sentimental houseplants and the memories that go along with them. Like I said earlier, if you have a plant that holds memories, I would love to hear them down below in the comments, whether it's something that reminds you of a loved one or reminds you of the first time you popped an alocasia corm. I don't mind. I want to hear those stories and just feel the feels in the comments. Before I go though, I want to say a huge thank you to the newest members of my Good Growing fam over on Patreon. Plenty Tiff and Liz, thank you so much for joining. If anyone else is interested in joining my Patreon, it is £3 a month, and for that you get all of the things, including bonus content, exclusive videos, live chats where we like do planty stuff together and chat all things life, access to the Discord server, and more. The link is down below in the description if you're interested, but absolutely no pressure if that is not your thing. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on other houseplanty things you'd like me to talk about in the future. If you want to know more of these sort of like fun stories, I've got a lot of them. I've been doing this for a while, and like plants hold memories to me. So yeah, let me know and subscribe for more. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to keep growing. Bye!